Right, so in this podcast, we're going to be talking to Steve from SCPT. He's someone I've known for years now, isn't it?
Probably 5-6 years, maybe.
Yeah, it's getting on a bit. And the reason why we're doing this conversation for you guys in the Trade Partner Network and beyond, or tradesmen in general, really, is to address the lifestyle that comes with transitioning from being a installer, and obviously, like I've explained to you, our network is generally installers that are transitioning over to being KBB entrepreneurs over the next few years. And, you know, we have to recognize that some of the habits they've got at the moment, and I know this because I was one of them, they're not going to serve them very well as business owners, you know, as the stress mounts up and things get more challenging. And people in the network have been asking exactly these questions to me, like, how do I optimize my day? How do I, you know, stay healthy, stay on it, and all that type of stuff. So obviously you're a big part of that because you train with me, or I train with you, you know, many times a week, and we're on that journey sort of together. So you're my trusted source. So I thought it would be very good to get you on and share the knowledge for everybody else. So this is Steve, like I said, health, fitness and habit expert. And he's really good at working with like entrepreneur type people that are under a lot of pressure, really good at keeping you on the straight and narrow. A lot of my success over the last few years, partly down to the habits I've created, and Steve's been a big part of that. So just to outline anyway, before we go on to your bit, just to get onto these guys, is tradesmen are inherently unhealthy. Like, it just is. I'm not saying everyone, but there is
it's an industry standard.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's an industry standard sort of tradesman. They're rushing around, they're under stress. The people are mithering the life out of them. You know, the health is unfortunately down the pecking order, as it was for me, and I know this to be true for a lot of them now. But they're generally unhealthy, eating out of garages, you know, alcohol, stress, probably not drinking enough water, because again, I struggle with this, and we've had this conversation, haven't we? Where if I'm out in the car all day, it's hard to stay hydrated because you just need to piss every 5 minutes, you know. So like, how do you deal with that if you're running around between jobs? It isn't always as easy. I mean, it is a lot easier now, I think, with the service stations, and most of them have got toilets in and garages and stuff like that. So it has become easier. But that's something that they're going to be guilty of. Probably not getting the right quality sleep. And all these things accumulatively, it's just like you're blissfully unaware of all this. You know, you come into this world and you're like, well, these bad habits are just normal, and you don't really see the bad impact until later on, really. I think until you start getting rid of them, you don't really realise they're ever there. But when you're trying to perform at a higher level, they do hold you back massively. And I think it's good to get these light bulbs on now for our network. So moving forward, they're sort of ready to go. So this was me, basically. Those habits I've listed there are basically what I was doing, and I know a lot of our guys are guilty of. But then I started taking the gym a little bit more seriously, and then we had a few conversations, didn't we? Well, 3 or 4 years ago now, and that's where we met, really, wasn't it? When we started training.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And I wasn't in great shape, was
I? Post the before and after picture on there.
Yeah, I might do that. You know? Yeah, you know, I might do.
Incoming.
Yeah, bitch tits to pet, as I put on air. But so, where would you say I was at that point, like in terms of habits, mindset, in your own words?
Well, I'd say bottom of the ladder, and the reason, like, just to go on what you just said there, like, you don't know a standard that you're operating at because you're just within that every day. So you think it's kind of like the norm, and every businessman, and bear in mind, you know, I work with people with one business to 5 businesses worldwide, travel a lot, and it can be difficult. And every one of them, when I sit them down and I ask about their energy levels and sleep, and, you know, what's their focus like on a daily basis, and they say to me, yeah, you know, it's really good actually, yeah, like, you know, I get by. And then within 5 or 6 weeks, they're like, fucking hell, how was I operating? You know, no more like midday crashes, energy like fluctuations, needing to nap, and, you know, needing to just do what you need to do to get through. So, you know, caffeine, drinking at night, because you need something to kind of make you feel good. And those are the things that, we're left with. So if anything, operating at such poor standards drives you to be even more unhealthy. But there is that transition period where, what you want to do is grow a business, and no matter what happens, money will always come first, because that's what makes the world. That's what makes the world turn, isn't it? And you're not going to think, right, I'm going to go to the gym if you can't pay your bills. You think, I could spend that an hour and a half doing work. And I thoroughly understand that, and that's where I've developed my philosophies from. But I always say to people, like, you're at this level, and I'm going to show you the next one and the next one and the next one. It's not on like, jump in and try and do everything all at once. That's not what we did.
No.
You just basically develop new standards.
Battled for it for a long time, haven't we? We're still not there now, really.
Never.
Like, you never really crack it. But what's interesting, like what you said about the cycle of habits, it's like drinking alcohol, for instance. Like, you get pissed, you go to work, you spend all week stressed, and then you reward yourself by getting pissed again.
And it sends you back into that cycle.
I mean, it's mad, isn't it? It's like crazy, and you don't realise this vicious cycle until you eventually break it. Like I'm on the out way of alcohol now. I'm starting to ditch it a lot, because I'm recognising that the days after it are just not. I can't operate at my level with alcohol in my system. It's just simple as that. And so I've stopped rewarding myself with silly things, and it is a vicious cycle, isn't it? Like, it's just you just spiral, don't you?
What people don't understand is we live in a society now, in a world where you are physically programming yourself to do that. You don't realise it, but every bad choice. Society. I was just going to go into that next, but every bad choice you make is because you're setting yourself up on the inside for failure. So the way that you fuel yourself determines what you think. The way that you sleep determines your mood, your energy, your ability to deal with stress.
Yeah.
When you're stressed, you can't just stop and go, right, I need to stop this business now. You think, what the fuck can I do to cope with it? So what you do then is you go, right, I'm just going to have to, get a bottle of wine. I'm going to have to have a beer. I know I've had clients before that take cocaine so they can stay up on like no joke. I'm talking like bad habits. But then also, like, I tell this story to people. I remember being in the garage and I was a little bit stressed, right? And I'm the most motivated. It's my job, like whatever you want to call it. And I've just developed these habits for years and years, from going to the extreme to now realizing it doesn't have to physically be that way if you program yourself right and do simple things. And I remember going like home one day and I was in the garage and I'm stood there in the queue, a bit stressed, a bit tired, a bit fucked off. And I was thinking, I look up, chocolate. I look to my left, sweets. I look to my left again, alcohol, wine, beer, vapes, cigarettes, hot dogs, like ready to eat hot dogs. Because the more addicted we are to these substances, which is why they're placed there, because when you're in the queue, you got a bit of time, you think, I'm just going to get a beer. And in my head, I was like, I wanted to buy a bottle of wine, a vape, some chocolate. And I'm like, I'm this guy that doesn't do this. I understand differently. And I think, put that into the factor, then we've got like, all these crises going on with like financial times, things are getting harder for everyone. So it's a shitstorm. This like society is driving stress higher than ever, and we're then spending money and energy into these things that are kind of stopping us from doing it. But because we can get by, we just do it and carry on and think, well, I'm fine. But
fucking it.
Yeah, and if I said to someone, I can give you 50% uplift in your life and make you 50% more productive, and your business will grow as a result of that, because that's what I sell. I don't sell coaching. I sell people's lifestyles getting inherently bigger and better because they grow the business, because you're thinking at a level you've never understood before. And I'm on a bit of a hiatus with it when I speak to people, because I'm like, one day you'll know what it feels like to sit here and feel this way and have energy and go home and play with your kids and not be like, give me 5 minutes. And when you get there, you've developed a new standard of living, and you're like, I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, I think, like, say it's things just become normal, don't they? Like my gut health was horrific, and I didn't even know. And like some people listening go, "Oh, what do you mean by gut health?" Like literally, it's like just the unknown thing, and it's becoming more known now. Like there's lots of stuff out there about gut health, but I was like, shitting my back out, 2 times a day, and it was like just like I was just unhealthy, and it was just like, but that toilet routine to me was like normal. And it's like now it's like weird because it's like different because my gut health is so much better. I'm not poisoning my body basically with shit all the time, and I've got out of these habits. And you're right, because there's been obviously lots of conversations we've had over the last few years, and it doesn't happen overnight. That's the first thing to say. Like it's a hard one to crack. Like I say, if you've never been that unhealthy, you don't know what that's like at the same time. Do you get what I mean?
I do. I definitely don't. But then, like, going back to like my bodybuilding days when I used to have to sit and eat 5,000 calories.
Oh yeah.
I'm a skinny boy, like, and you get that in any which way. Like, I'd be on the motorway home, praying that there's traffic because I could do little micro naps between the cars moving. Because I get home, my kids would be like, "Daddy, daddy, daddy," and I'm like, "Yeah, wow. Just give me a minute."
Yeah.
And we've all been there. And you know what? I like to use this analogy with when I coach people. Coaching is not about here's a nutrition plan, go and follow it. Coaching for me, my goal is to let somebody understand what their body is telling them. So I'll give you an example, right? And a lot of people that watch this, they probably have children. When your child cries, you learn to interpret. Your child can't say, "Change my nappy, I've shit myself," or "I'm hungry." You learn to interpret what that cry is. And your body tells you everything, but it materializes it in ways we don't understand. Yeah. And the more you learn to understand, so for example, if you're on the way home and you sit down and your body's crashing, or you eat a meal and you feel like you just want to sit there and have a sleep, your body is telling you something about what you're eating. If you're shitting your back out in the toilet, it's telling you something about the way your gut's functioning. But we don't think of that. We just think, oh yeah, another sloppy poo.
Yeah.
It's just normal. And you speak to your mate, and you're like, "Do you shit like that?" And probably because someone's in the same industry, it's like, yeah.
It's just mad. Like it's just what's normal, and that's what I mean. Like like for me years ago, just eating shit, being unhealthy, having that level of gut health, poor sleep, working all the time, hardly exercising. That was just like normal life. And like you almost like you've never been that unhealthy, and I've never been as fit as you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And those two worlds are just like so different. But when you start transitioning over, for hopefully never transition over to the shit one, but if you do start coming over to the good one, it's like the learning that's there is like you think like, oh my god, no. I look back at my lifestyle from even just nipping in the pub for a pint, just like odd things that I used to do, go and see someone for a pint and all that, and that's just society saying that's normal. Just come and meet me for a pint in a pub, yeah. And it's like the peer pressure to do it is like, but I'm just like, nah, fuck that, I'm not doing that anymore because I know that pint will throw me so far off course because I'm trying to operate at a level. I'm not saying everyone needs to get there. Not everyone needs to become a machine. I mean, I feel like they should, even if it's not for the business for themselves. But when you're trying to run a business as well, or when you've got goals, like I say, a lot of our guys have got goals they want to achieve. So unfortunately, they have to work and build this business alongside that work, and that is tough. But that is very, very hard.
If you've been through the university and all the videos that you've put on there, what you'll start to understand is like, I remember you wearing it as a badge of honor, and that's what we're like in the UK, right? I remember you being like, yeah, I used to stay up till 3 a.m. and buy £1 energy drinks and just twat them. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I've always had 9 hours, not 9 hours sleep, like it's definitely less than I've had kids, but I'll be like, yeah, I get myself to bed early because I wake up and I'm fresh. And the difference is what I said before, how you're programming your body. So you're less likely to want to go and have a pint in the pub. Because someone watching this will be like, all right, mate, fucking hell, I'm going to turn this off already. You're going to take away pints. Yeah. You don't want to have pints when you're thriving and your energy levels are so high.
No.
And that's the difference. And it's like people think, right, if I cut this out, I'll be healthier and happier. You'll be miserable as shit. But what you do then, instead of taking away, you just put in.
Yeah.
Start fueling the body right, and you go, do you know what? I don't want to eat that because it made me feel like shit last time. Yeah. Or, if I'm going to have a pint, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make sure I have a pint because it's like a valued experience with friends, not just for the sake of it.
Every now and then it's fine, isn't it? But like if it's a routine like every week or even 2 weeks, I think that's just too much for me because I just can't recover from it. I mean, that's my personal experience. And some people will be able to do it and function. I just can't. Like certain things just tip me, like say gluten, dairy, alcohol. I just try and avoid those things. And everyone's different, but I think for people, finding out about your gut is quite a good thing to do, isn't it, really? Getting a food test or
something. Without a doubt. But before people start to do that, one of the most important things is like everybody wants to go for the jugular straight away and like this is the problem. And it's like you just need to kind of take your time and just make small changes. If you make small changes, you can't lose.
But the thing is, like, the problem we're going to have with this, and like I say, the lads, and like, because you've mentioned the university there, so we have the KBB Academy as well, which is where most of our members, who are basically our biggest customers, are in the academy. They're website customers. They come to our events. They're very, very highly engaged with me and Lee and the team, and they're very, very much part of our business, like we are theirs. And we're just trying to lay the groundwork here, so make sure that when they start transitioning off the tools, because a lot of these guys think, or when I make money, all my problems will be solved. Do you get what I mean? And I'm just trying to shine the light here to say, actually, what's going to happen when you start getting off the tools? You're going to think that you've got no problems, but suddenly you're going to spend a lot more time on your laptop, spend a lot less time moving, a lot less time, but more time being stressed probably because you've got more things to think about. You're starting to run a business now. And these habits that we're taking from this world and we're going to try and replicate in that world aren't going to be helpful. Do you get what I mean? So that's where we're trying to switch these lights on for them. And that's where my concerns are, is that they need to sort of not like jump in, like saying go for the jugular, but just be aware that actually, if I've got a few bad habits going on, I'm not sleeping, not drinking enough water, I'm not boozing, all right, you might not be feeling, but you won't be feeling the shit really, because you won't know it's shit until do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to start laying that groundwork a few months in advance of because a few of them, quite a lot of them actually, are going to be there in probably the next 6 months, where they're going to be like, experiencing new levels of shit that they need to deal with.
Yeah.
And this content, I want them to sort of listen to and be like, yeah, I need to be tuning my head and my body ready for what's coming.
That's kind of what I meant. Like when you're in the thick of it and you're like, you're on the tools and you're going from job to job and you've got all these things going on, if you're going to come out of that and go into that CEO role, your mindset and your body has to grow with that so that you can operate at a level. And this is the difference. It's how you're operating. And the more time you put into that. So for example, if I say to someone at the very start, I want you to train for 5 hours a week, they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But then by training for that amount of time and setting your body up for success and to run at an elite level, every which way in between with what you eat, how you sleep and things like that, your productivity levels go up so high. Yeah, you're not wasting hours anymore. So essentially, by giving yourself, let's say, an hour and a half, call it, 5 days a week to train and make sure you've got some sort of, decent food prepared, or you've bought the best options that you can if you're on the road, you're then going to open yourself up to 10x in your productivity levels. So you're on fire.
Yeah.
Because when you're just barely functioning, you're going from job to job and you're stressed, you're just doing a shit job. And that's where you've come in and you're helping people optimize the systems and stuff, because, it's the same thing. Like optimizing your fitness and your health is like optimizing your business.
Yeah.
You're working like a dog. All right, well done. You do 16 hours of work, but you probably could have done that in 8 if you have your systems and your body was functioning at a high level.
I think some of it as well is the reason, one of the things in the back of my head why I want to start being consistent with talking about things like this in general is that some of these guys are going to become successful a lot quicker than I did.
That's
because the system,
right?
yeah,
skip the mistakes you made.
Yeah.
That's where I position myself. I've been through hell and back, going through like the world's most boring diets and restricting myself and not having anything, and I got really, really good at it.
So just on that then, so a bit about you then. So how have you ended up like being this? Where have you come from, and how did you get to being the habit guy and optimizing, and then getting into position with other CEOs and helping them do that? Like, what's that journey look like?
Well, simply put, I used to train bodybuilding. I used to compete, do natural bodybuilding, which was very, very extreme, very regimented, which was fine when I didn't have children. And I noticed a lot of people, I would try and force that onto people, and I became part of the industry that I hate, and I'm hell-bent on trying to change, because it doesn't have to be that way. Like, fueling yourself right and functioning at an elite level that you will never understand until you do it, and having all the energy and productivity that you need to be able to thrive and succeed. But not only that, then having time, because you're so much smarter now in the way you work, and the work you're doing is quality. You've got time for your family, you've got time for your missus. You don't lie in bed and think, I wish I could fuck my missus, but I'm so tired, I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Or you've sank 4 cans because you think it's the only way I'm going to get any sleep. But this is how it is. Like, this is the standard, and I hope a lot of people think, that's me. Like, because it's how it works. Yeah. So what I realized was that I hate the industry and what it stands for, and how it's like you've got to be miserable to be in shape, and you've got to give up your business to get in shape or get your health back on track. You don't. What you need to do is develop an obsession with the way things make you feel. This makes me feel shit. This makes me feel unbelievable. I don't even care about aesthetics. My aesthetics came because I got obsessed with the right habits. Because you can be in shape and on your ass, and I've been there. Yeah. You can be in shape and thriving, and the difference is, like, a lot of people that will be watching this are probably surviving on their energy levels, surviving.
Which is most people, isn't it?
For sure, yeah. And that's one of the things, that's why I'm passionate about it, because I can't stand the industry. I hate 99% of the coaches that are out there. I think it's on its ass, and people don't care about the person in front of them. They just want a testimonial. And if the, let's say 10% of people can break through and, go through the sacrifice, the monotony, hating life, giving up everything that they enjoy, that gets them validation on social media, and then they can get more business. It's not coaching. Coaching is changing someone's mindset and their habits and their beliefs so that they can go, when I'm awake, I'm going to make sure I fuel the machine correctly, not because of progress or abs or this, that, and the other, but because I want to have energy to play with my kids. I want to be able to kind of work at a high level so I can grow my business.
Yeah. Have you found that some age groups are easier to work with than others?
I think it gets a little bit easier as you get older. It depends. It's a spectrum, right? And I could talk about this for a long time. Typically,
just on that before you go into it, because I've been. I think if I'd have, I don't know, because I think when you're in your 20s and early 30s, you just take everything for granted.
Yeah,
you think you're going to be that age forever, don't you?
No, for sure.
And then and I'm approaching 40, so I'm now starting to become more dedicated in terms of thinking, shit, I'm 40 soon, and it's I'm not fucking being like this forever. Do you get what I mean?
You realise that
yeah, you're running out of time.
I could actually die here. Shit.
Yeah.
And also, bear in mind, I don't want to get too grim with this, right? But I've had clients that have built businesses that are mind-blowing, and they've hit all the goals and had no health or time or energy to enjoy it. I've had clients that have passed away because it's too late by the time they're there.
Yeah.
I've got one now currently fighting for his life and given a year to live.
Yeah.
Because what we don't understand, right, and this is a harsh reality to everybody, but they reckon it takes up to 4 years for something to grow from, say, like a seed to materializing itself to the point where you're like, I've got cancer. So me and you could both be sat here now with something horrific coming.
Yeah.
It doesn't just come out of nowhere. People say it all the time, I feel like it just came out of nowhere. No, the diagnosis did, but you just weren't intelligent enough to read what your body was saying at that time.
Yeah.
Go back to shitting your back out. There's only so much your body can tolerate.
And drinking caffeine really late as well, in the day. You don't
rinses your sleep,
how bad. It's really funny that. We'll come on to that in a minute, but I had a couple of coffees recently, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My sleep them nights was shit. It was mad. I couldn't believe the difference, and I was like, it's got to be the coffee.
Let me ask you a question just quickly. I want everyone to think about this. If you've got young children, or you've got a sibling with a child, so you're an auntie and uncle, whatever. If you found out that your child was living the life that you're living and the habits that you're doing, so not getting sleep, not being fed properly, being misfed and giving shit constantly, how would you feel about that? Because if it's not acceptable for your child or that small person in your life, why is it acceptable for you? The difference is we perceive we can get away with it. And then when you look at age, when you're 21, it's like buying a new car. You can do what you want. You don't have to get it serviced for 2 years. You don't have to get it MOT'd because it's fresh and it's new. Yeah. How you treat that car will determine how it's going to run in 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah. So you get away with it, but the more you mistreat it, the faster you're kind of wasting the value and the freshness of it. Yeah. So you preserve your health by looking after it from an early age. And that's why people say to me, it's not the same as when I was 21. I'm like, neither's my fucking hairline, but just got to crack on. Literally just got to crack on. That's out, bad example because that's out of my control.
Yeah.
But,
and he's probably not referring to me.
Yeah. But you're rinsing yourself on a daily basis, and you literally have no idea that every single time you do it, you feel like you're getting away with it because you can't see what's on the inside.
No, it's true, because I'm early 20s, I was when I look back at pictures of things, sometimes I was overweight, sometimes underweight, I could sort of manipulate my body very quickly. Whereas now, in my late 30s, I'm like, it doesn't respond like it used to. Do you know what I mean? I get more tired. It takes longer to do things. Your energy levels aren't what they were, and I'm healthy. Do you know what I mean? I'm not.
You are now, but you abused your body. You can't expect to abuse your body for years and years, and then it's just one day you're like, I ate a salad today. I don't understand why is it not doing what I want it to do. Because I think of it as an overdraft. The more you spend in that overdraft, the bigger the overdraft. The more you abuse your health, the worse the crisis is, and the more you've got to pay off. Yeah. And, the bigger the impact that's going to have. And I always think about this, like I just said then, you don't have to get your car serviced. You can ignore it. But one fucking day that bill's going to come, and how expensive it is going to be is going to be a shock to a lot of people. And that's what we do with our health. And then it might be when you're 35, it might be 50. You might even go through your whole life and be that lucky guy. Yeah. Well, but that bill is coming, mate. That day is coming. Unless you control those things now,
Yeah.
And at the very minimum, do it for the sake of your business, like I said, because you can't function or you can't enjoy the success that you've got if you're on your ass.
No, you can't.
And I've seen it at every level of wealth, every level of age. I've seen it, and it's quite hideous. And I promise you now, no one will be able to look this far forward. But I've never met a person at that point that wouldn't trade every single thing they've got to be able to do it.
Yeah, to be healthy.
And it's so simply done. It sounds like people might, you might be listening to this and thinking to yourself, I've just not got the time. It's so simple.
Yeah, so on to the time thing then. So obviously we mentioned the guys are busy, time poor, unpredictable is what I would say the days are. I mean, we had this conversation a lot back in the day, didn't we? Probably some arguments about it, to be fair. You'd be like, why have you not done this? I'm like, fuck off, you don't know how busy I am. And you're like, oh, I was like, it used to piss me off so much. But it's true, because you have to make it a priority, and and I get that. But like, when you have got unpredictable days, so for instance, I know the guys might be out on a survey, might be out visiting a job. That survey could take half an hour, it could take 2 hours. And the amount of times I've come out of a job or a survey and it's been like, okay, I thought about an hour and a half ago and I'm fucking starving now.
Yeah.
I've got a 40-minute drive home. I'm going to the garage. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And I wasn't planning to go to the garage. I wasn't planning to eat shit. But I just got myself to a point of hunger now where I'm like, I don't give a shit anymore. I need to eat. And it's really hard. So what tips would you give for someone who's in the caravan most of the day, which this will be most of these guys, and for the foreseeable future? So what they shouldn't be listening to this thinking is, this problem will go away soon. This won't go away, because this is still my problem now. I still spend a lot of time.
Definitely.
And I'm just running a business generally. I mean, unless you're parked in an office all day, which isn't going to be any of these guys for a long, long time, if ever, they have to solve this problem. You know what I mean? So so let's put it on your toes. If you were going to have a job tomorrow that meant you're not in the gym anymore, you haven't got a cafe there, you've not got water on tap, you can't go for a piss whenever you want, how would you deal with that? Like, how would you prepare your food, and how would you plan for that? Because this is the world they're in.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and this is the point, right? This is what I'm trying to say when I say, like, I don't really want someone to think, right, I've got to eat 5 meals a day and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Make something as simple as possible for you. So if you're in a position where you've got an 8-hour gap where you're not going to be able to eat, you need to plan before it and plan after it. And the biggest thing that I teach people is, and this is where I've changed, because don't forget, every experience that I've had with you and with anybody else, it teaches me a lot about a coach. Because these things are, just because I can do it doesn't mean you can. And just because it's optimal doesn't mean it's achievable. So this is why I hate that concept of just follow that. Yeah. And if you don't, you get shouted at.
Yeah, just down to things like, so let's break it down then. So let's go food. So if you was going to spend most of your day out in the vehicle, let's say you go up at like 5-6 o'clock, and then you were out for like 6:30, 7, and then you got home probably around the same time, 6-7 o'clock at night again. How would you structure? Let's just start with meals. So how would you deal with that throughout the day?
Right, so just before I get to that point, I promise I'll jump straight onto it, right? When you fuck up, the best thing that you can do is reflect on what happened. So I've been out all day, I was starving, and I went KFC. That's what I do. Yeah. I'm not impervious to that. I'm not so motivated I don't drive past KFC when I'm starving. I don't get starving and think, I could kill a salad right now. That's just stupid. The difference is I'll go, right, okay, what did I do that messed me up? I went a long period without food. So then I think, right, how can I solve that? We now live in a day and age where there's healthy options everywhere. You've got meal prep companies, and I guarantee you guys will spend a lot of money on the road. Yeah. Guarantee it. Yeah.
Probably so. To get a prep, innit?
Yeah, you can get meal preps now for £5. Yeah. I don't like cold food. Sometimes you just got to man up, ain't you? Yeah. But then there's options around that. So one of the things that I always do is I think, right, what does my day look like? I kind of plan it ahead on a Sunday, right? What does my week look like? Because if you plan ahead, you're less likely to be into it.
So the first step is planning.
Planning for sure. So look at your week ahead, right? Where am I going to be? Right, I've got to drive here, I've got to drive here. So I'll get a protein shake. You can get fuel bars now, which are decent. You can get packs of nuts. Nuts will give you a sustainable amount of energy, make you feel full for 3-4 hours. Yeah. Then you can think, right, so what I'll do is if I'm going to land at 1 o'clock for my first meeting and I'm in the car for X amount of hours, I'm on a train, whatever, fast until that point. Before you go in, have a protein shake and a bag of nuts. Yeah. That will give you the energy. And then when you get out, have something in your car so that you think, right, if I do crumble, if I am starving, I've got something readily available in the car, because that will curb your appetite.
Yeah, I always keep in the back of my car in a cool bag, like bags of nuts, fruit, and then a few like gluten and dairy-free protein bars.
Yeah.
But I don't like the nuts and the fruit I have every day anyway. That's just part of my planning for food because it's healthy.
Yeah.
But I'll chuck a few bars in there just in case. I'm like, right, I'm flagging here. I'm fucked. Do you know what I mean? I've still got a half an hour drive home. I need a bit of energy. I'll just throw the odd thing in there that I'll do. But so basically, what we're saying is we plan the week ahead.
Plan the week ahead.
Has to be planned.
Yeah, for sure.
If you go out without a plan, then basically you're just asking for shit, aren't you? So nuts, plenty of water. Obviously, we'll come on to water in a second. But then we've got nuts, fruit, Huel bars. Huel's a good one. So Huel's quite healthy. Ish. It's better than the vast majority in it. You know, that's something I've used for years as well, like the shakes and the bars and all that type of stuff. Really good for like, you know, you don't want to be on it every single day, but like, you know, if you need an afternoon snack and you've got a box of Huel bars in the back of the car.
Yeah.
I've been around the houses with researching, as I'm sure you have, but I've just found the Huel bars to be the best solution.
Yeah, they are. The best solution. So like an incredible tip, like I'm pretty sure most people will eat tea every night. Make an extra portion. Well, we have HelloFresh. We get 3 peoples, and I just have one of them for dinner the next day.
Yeah.
You can make wraps, and people say, "Well, wraps are really bad." Well, it's not as bad as going to the garage and getting a wrap from the garage, which has got 6,000 times more ingredients that you can't pronounce the name of.
Yeah.
That's going to rinse your gut health. Do you know what I mean? Wraps are not bad. Misfueling yourself, getting to the point where you're fucking starving and then going to a KFC daily is bad. So it's about necessary evils. Don't label a food as bad. The bigger picture is bad. That small meal is not. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. So if you drop it, so it's 80-20, isn't it, really? You know, but the thing is, sometimes it's going to be 80-20 the wrong way. Like having 20% healthy and 80% shit. It's like now we're trying to spin it the other way and go, right,
but
you know, take some stuff out.
Yeah, when that does spin itself, think to yourself, don't just think, oh, really, really, really shit day. I've ruined my diet, I'm this, that, and the other. I look at that and think, right, what tripped me up? Because if it is a 20-80 where, you know, 20% good, 80% shit, you've probably not planned your day.
Yeah. You've
not had something there where you've gone too long a period where then you crumbled because your body is fighting against you. It's not your fault. Like once your body ramps up that hunger and craving hormones, your body knows what it needs to be able to get what it wants.
I've found it really it's dead simple, but I've always found it easy to eat at set times, whether you're hungry or not. And I think we've had that conversation before. Because if I get starving, I'm just like, I'll eat that mouse, or I'll eat the fucking mouse.
Yeah. But like I said to you before, right? Most people watching this will look at this and be like, well, you know, I haven't really got time to be preparing food. You have got time. Your energy's on its ass and you cannot be asked when you get home. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But once you start setting yourself up for success and programming your body to have more energy, it's amazing how many people go, yeah, you know, I just make them meals now. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you've got the money and the luxury to be able to get a meal prep company, brilliant. You know, but what will happen is because you get home and you don't have to sit in front of the TV and you're not knackered, you think, right, what's for tea? I'm going to throw that in a Tupperware box. I'm going to make sure I've ordered my nuts. I've got enough Huel bars in. And it becomes a lot easier because now you're setting yourself up to want that stuff. Yeah.
I always find like just simple things like boiled eggs. You know, just like you can boil eggs in 10 minutes, chuck them in a box and then have that with a few nuts. And
it's
it's just like, it is easy when you think about it.
And, you know, people will look at it and be like, oh, that's a little bit boring. But like, you know, make it as flavorful as you want. Like if you've got the time to sit there and do it. But a lot of the time, if you're as busy as you say you are, you haven't got time or desire to, you know, have filet mignon like on a hot plate every single time you eat. It just needs to be something you can chomp on while you're sat in front of your computer.
Yeah.
And you know that you've covered and ticked that box rather than think, oh my God, I've got no food. What's going to happen now? I'm not going to have time when I finish. I've got to go home and cook, and then you end up in a fast food restaurant. And it could have been prevented by simple measures. And that's how I try and coach people. If you mess up, reflect and put a plan in place so that next time you do that for a month, you've bulletproofed your life.
It is annoying though, because I remember like being like annoyed at the simplicity of the fact that, like, because my health spiraled, basically, the number one thing was I was on the road all the time and I was just always driving past McDonald's, just eating shit. You know what I mean? It's I'm a bit hungry, I'll drop in and get this a bit. But yeah, it was just really, really, really poor habits and laziness. And that just spiraled out over many years and like just made me pile loads of weight on. But it's like, obviously I do the business stuff, you do the health coaching and, business stuff on that side. But the way I look at it now is, if you want to maintain your bank balance and you want to maintain your health financially, you have to run your business properly. If you want to maintain your health as a human being, you have to eat and hydrate properly and sleep properly, and I think that as irritating, like, because people think, it's mad, like, when I speak to people, like, you'll obviously do it way more times than me, but they just don't see the importance of it. It's like, they just don't get it. Like, you speak to people and go, like, it's all this beer and not drinking water, and you got a big beer belly, and, like, what annoys me as well is, like, people in the 50s going, like, the 70s sometimes, don't they? Just in the mind. Like, I've got family members in my family, and they're like, oh, I'm too old for that now. And I, like, said to them, I don't want to drop names, but, I've said to, like, people, like, there's people in our gym that are, like, 70, 80, in relatively good shape. Incredible. And there's people in the 50s and 40s making fucking excuses that they haven't, or even in the 30s saying, oh, and I'm like, there's people in the gym that are, like, old people that are there at, like, 10 to 6 in the morning, outside the gym. And you're like, fucking hell, there's people a third of their age that aren't even doing that. And I just find that really irritating, but that's just because like a side thing.
Your biological age is gonna go rapidly. Your age in numbers and your biological age is very different. So how well you age and how healthy you are depends on how you look after yourself. But a lot of the time, like, people will think of it from what you just said there, with, like, poor health choices and going to the pub, and someone eating healthy and functioning well. If you had a problem, right, and you had to bring somebody in and to help you with your business, and I said, right, I've got 2 guys here, one of them sinks 3-4 pints a night, eats shit, is overweight, doesn't train, and I've got this guy who looks after himself, trains well, who are you going to pick?
Yeah, exactly.
You'd want the guy functioning well, and that's how I want to be as a functioning CEO. And I'd ask yourself the question, like, what are you trying to build a business for?
Yeah.
For the sake of building a business, or for actually having a lifestyle that you love and a body that's healthy enough to be able to go, right, in 10 years' time, when I hit my goal, I'm going to travel the world, because someone will knock on the door and be like, oh, hi, here's a heart attack, just shit all over you. And that's what I was saying before, this is what I've had. So when you can't be asked with it, you just think, you got a big stressful week ahead and all these tasks. Do you want to do that on no sleep and running on alcohol? Or do you want to do it on going to bed and eating right?
Yeah,
and then on the Saturday, go and have a bottle of wine. I have a bottle of wine every Saturday.
Yeah.
Every single Saturday, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
But I know that I've done what I need to do.
Yeah.
During the week, on my business, in my business, with my fitness, with my trading. And because I take care of it, it's not a stress to me. I just like, right, there's a gym for an hour, right, fuck off, what am I doing now? Okay, business, right, there we go. I've got that ticked, and all of these that we talked about planning, everything should be planned out.
Yeah.
Even your downtime, because you think, right, I don't need to worry about anything now. I can eat at McDonald's with my kids because I've nailed the rest of the week.
Yeah. Like I say, you're not saying, like, never drink or never eat shit.
No,
it's just like, don't make it the staple of your lifestyle. Because I think that's, unfortunately, most of society now is just at that place where they're just pumping their bodies full of shit. And, I see it with people. Obviously, I coach people like you, but in obviously the business world, and you just see it, like, the habits they have sometimes, and you think, you're not going to be able to take this. Do you get what I mean? Because your fucking machine ain't going to spin fast enough to make that thing happen.
Why do you think people have breakdowns? And breakdown of health or breakdown of the mind?
Yeah.
And like you said, you just end up like bitter or unwell. And one of the reasons why the country, in terms of mental health and physical health, is on its ass is because it's too easy to just go back to that simple solution of let me go and have 4 cans.
I think mental health is huge. We'll come on to that in a moment.
Yeah, it's massive. It's how you function internally, and how you function internally depends on what you put inside.
They're linked, aren't they? Right, so working out. So we've got food. So basically, plan. We're saying nuts, fruit, low-hanging fruits. The boiling eggs. Meal preps,
make extra food.
Huel bars. There's the shitloads. There's enough calories there you can pull out of all those things, isn't it, to get through a day. It's going to be simple enough. When you get home, have a proper meal or get up a bit earlier. Everyone's different, so we can't give a rule of thumb things.
Yeah, just have a rhythm and a routine that works for you.
Yeah.
My rhythm and routine is simple. Eat at 9:00. Yeah. Protein shake and nuts. Then I have whatever I had for tea for dinner.
Yeah.
and then I'll have a protein bar a little bit later on, and then I have a big meal before I go home. When I go home.
And then everyone just needs to sort of work out what's best for them, because again, fasting.
Without a doubt.
I've done a bit of fasting like till 12 o'clock. That's sometimes quite an effective thing to do because it cuts out the need for fanning around with food earlier on in the day. But when you might be busy, so if you can take the fast to 12 o'clock, that suddenly makes life a lot easier. And there are obviously benefits. We won't go into all that shit now, but that's another conversation. But there's just a few tips there on food anyway. So if we're going to start working out, keep it simple. So if we're going to start working out, what's the ideal number of strength sessions? And I know I'm not saying they jump in and do this immediately, but what should people aspire to stay mentally and physically on it? What do you think? How many weight sessions, how many resistance sessions, and how many sort of minutes of cardio a week do you think we should be aiming for?
I don't like giving numbers out like that. I'll give you an answer, but I don't like giving numbers out like that specific because at this point people think, well, I can't do that. Yeah, so if I said 4 days, I think the optimal time is 3 to 4 sessions a week. Strength training.
Some level of strength training, 3 to 4 times.
Mix them all. Yeah. So go walk into the gym, 10 minutes on some sort of steady cardio. If it depends on your time, 20-30 minutes of weight. Make sure it's intense. Yeah. Make sure you go hard, and then finish on some intervals. Yeah, that's 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, if you've only got done in an hour, if you play.
Yeah, without a doubt, you can get something done. We you've turned up before late. I've got 30 minutes, and you leave sweating your back out. Yeah. You can do conditioning sessions in that amount of time. Yeah. What's a conditioning session? Google it. Yeah. You'll get 65,000 fucking workouts within 1 second for free. The difference is, one of the reasons why people hate the gym is because they get no reward from it. How many sessions have we done where we're on our ass and you hate life and you think, oh my God, this is horrific. And then after it, you think, I'm a machine. Yeah, that was really good. You get that endorphin rush because you've actually progressed and you've done something that, you couldn't do when you walked in. The reward, it is a hormonal reward. Yeah. The endorphins are what's going to take you the next day. You go in and you fanny around on a cross trainer for 20 minutes and you think, oh, fucking hell, this is boring. Yeah. You walk out and the next day you're like, let's go gym again. Your body's like, why? It was so boring. You know what I mean? That's why I don't mind classes. Classes just get people in, chatting, sweating the back out, and they walk off. Yeah.
Classes are actually really good, because my missus does classes and she turns up, does the body pump class. Yeah. And I tell you what, the body composition that she's developed from doing that, and not really being guided, so just turning up basically, just going, right, I've got a class at 5:30, bang, and she goes, doesn't overthink it, just turns up.
It's not just turning up though, because I've seen her after a workout and she's grafted. You come in red face, sweating, and that's the key. Turning up. There's people that turn up to classes I've done for years and they're probably worse than when they first started. Yeah, but we got to start somewhere. I completely disagree with that. I'm going to be honest with you. What? I get you've got to start somewhere. So start off with a class. I don't expect someone to go in and, put 3 plates on a bench press and go. Don't mistake turning up as enough. It's not. Turn up and apply intent. I would rather someone come for 20 minutes, graft their absolute bollocks off and leave, than someone who comes in, prim and proper, fannies around for an hour and be like, yeah, I've been to the gym for an hour. It's like, I've done what? Yeah. You've not got time. You don't have time, right? So you need to make sure that what time you do have, you graft. And I don't care. Let's say, for example, me and you do a 20-minute workout, right? And it's as many laps around the track as you can. You're on your ass and you did 5 and I'm on my ass and I did 20. I don't care that I did 4 times more because we applied the same effort. So never, I say to clients all the time, don't ever think about it from any other person's point of view other than you pushing you. If you were on your ass by the end of it, you've had an incredible time. Yeah. And you'll feel stronger the next day and then the next day and the next day. And before you know it, this beautiful thing called momentum's born. Yeah. And you're like, you know what? I don't love the gym, but it makes you feel good. Yeah. And then do you know what you do then? You get in your car and you're like, fucking, I've got loads of energy. I'm going to do a call. And then you're on a call. You're like, oh my God, I just sold something while I'm fucking in the car.
That is true.
And normally I'm on my ass, sat there thinking, oh God. You see the guy next to you and he looks like he's falling asleep. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, wow, I'm actually a well better human than you are right now. I'm joking, but it's addictive because it makes you become addicted to the feelings and the associations. And it's the same way you're addicted to not going to the gym because it makes you feel shit and you can't be arsed and you get no value from it. So what's the point? And then your body will always give you 1,000 results of why we shouldn't do this workout right now. Yeah. And I'll do it.
It doesn't want to go, does it?
No. And I'm like, I'll wake up and then I'm like, yeah, but I feel so good when I pick that weight up and I hit that PB. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, And it just spirals. Like, just literally take it one day at a time and go. Whatever you do, 10 minutes, an hour, go as hard as you can.
I think there's a massive link, and I don't think I know it for a fact, is productivity and exercise are intrinsically linked. Like, when I don't work out or I don't do some exercise in a day, if I did that for 3 days on the bounce, I would gradually, well, not even gradually, it'd be like off a cliff. My productivity would drop massively because it's just, I think that the pace you live life at is also important. You know, like some people like work hard, like mega hard, and then they go crash like bear, and they go back to being in a slump.
Yeah.
Then when it's work time, right, I'm on it again for work. Do you get what I mean? But you've got to live all of life like that at that pace. But you can't do that if your body's not engineered for it. Do you get what I mean? So anyway, that's just my own experience.
You've got to think about it from a point of like, this is how much you work, yeah, and the more productive you get. So if this is work and then this is productivity, you can squash the workload and increase that. And then when you get more time, you're like, I'm going to fill that with opening another branch of the business. Or you know, people, we as men, we you know, I shouldn't just limit it to men, but like majority of the time, a man will be like, I've got more time now. You know, I've had clients that I've alleviated all this time. The productivity levels have grown, the business has grown, the revenue has grown, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to do masters," and I'm like, "Wow, it's not why we did that." You're the same. You're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm opening another business after this time, and that's how it's happened. It's nothing to do with me. It's to do with the internal workings of you.
Yeah, because you see capacity. Because what happens is you remove like things that you were doing before. You start putting. Well, the thing is, what I found is when you remove the bad shit and then you put the good stuff in. Say like the bad shit was this big, and you pulled that out, but then the good shit is only that big. So there is a void. So then you're going, fucking hell, I've got loads of time. I've not been to the pub, or I've not done that, or I've not done it as often. I'm not saying I never go, but I don't do it as often as I did. So all these micro shit habits I used to have, I've now gone. So now it's like, well, now I have got more time. So you do, and naturally as entrepreneurs and ambitious
From a man
people,
who never had time before. Right?
Exactly, yeah. But you're just going to find things to fill that time. And yeah, all right, you know, I'm the worst to go. Right, I've got a spare 10 minutes. I'll do 2 million hours of tasks. You know what I mean? But anyway, so strength training, if we can aspire to 3-4 times a week, maybe not immediately, but in our optimal self, that's what we'd be aiming for.
Like, sorry, just to cut in there, but like what you said there, you think that exercise is linked to like productivity levels. It's also linked to sleep. And obviously, we'll go into sleep a little bit, but people wonder why they can't sleep. But if you've sat on your ass all day, you're not going to be able to sleep.
No, and if you've ate like 4,000 calories as well, and your body's full of energy, and it's like, you know.
So you lie there and you're like, oh my God, why can't I sleep? Or when you do go to sleep, you wake up early, or the quality of that sleep, like, so you still feel like shit. And it's like, you kind of almost have to earn it.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't need it. It doesn't need deep sleep because you're not doing anything to recover. So what happens when every single person here will be able to relate to that? When you've had a really, really, really good night's sleep, you wake up and you think, throw whatever you want at me.
Yeah.
You do whatever I'm invincible today.
I didn't get that recovery thing until recently. We'll come on to that in a minute with the wearables and stuff like that. So we're saying 3-4 times a week strength training in the end. And if that means, for me, that meant getting up at 4:45 in the morning because I didn't have time for that. I've had to adjust my life to get that in there, but I recognised it was important, so that's what I do. Make the day longer.
You can make the day harder to train in the evening after a full day of graft. I will always give that to someone.
Yeah,
but it's still possible.
It's not impossible
if you work hard and you feel yourself right, and you create that association. I used to bomb a double espresso on the way there, and I created a link where I was like, I'd get in my car, but like, when did I arrive at the gym?
Yeah,
and that was before I was a personal trainer. That was when I was working in schools.
I'm not against afternoon.
You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, just got to make it work.
And don't think about training before work until you're at least eating better and sleeping better, because then you'll be like, thinking about it when you're at the bottom of the energy ladder is like, oh my God, like, I'm asleep again. Improve that, and then I guarantee you'll be like, well, I'm sleeping pretty good now. I could probably do this.
Because again, habits, which we'll come on to in a bit, that aren't good for sleep. And so if we let's talk about strength training. What about just getting your heart going, bit of cardio?
Mix it up. Whatever you like exercise. Again, this is where I've changed as a coach. Like, it was always like, gotta lift weights. It's like, if going boxing does it for you, then do it. If you get an endorphin rush by going for a run, we've got nothing in common.
I think people find their own feet, don't they? Like, as soon as you start getting into the routine of doing something, they find what they like doing.
100%. Try everything. I've done CrossFit, weightlifting, boxing, MMA, BJJ. I've done it. I've mountain biking. I've done it all, and I love it. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, ruptured my Achilles playing 5-side, and he told me not to. So that was a good. I told you so. Loved it.
But yeah, a bit of football. If you
anything, man, just anything that makes you something you can do consistently. Because like football might be like once a week.
Yeah.
But just try different things, and then when you find that,
you don't want to repeat the same thing over and over, do you? Like biking, and you want to do different things, don't you? Like you don't want to like do the same shit all the time. Getting outdoors as well, I find like mixing it up, outdoors as well as indoors, is really good because fresh air, like just getting on a ride or something, just getting your headspace different. Right, cool. So that's working out. Hydration tips. So what would we aim for with like water intake, and is there anything other than just pick the bottle up and drink it? Is it like, so for instance, I'm concerned for the guys in vans that'd be like, if I neck a litre of water now and I've got to drive to the next survey, and I've got another appointment, and, because I'm honestly like, some of the biggest struggles I've had out on the road is dehydration, because that by the colour of your piss when you get home, it's like fucking treacle, but you're like, no, but it's true, and you like you sit there and you think, and your fucking head's banging. I get like headaches if I don't drink water. I'm like, I can feel it in the front of my head, as can everybody else. But sometimes, like when you're in your car, like even when you go to a customer's house, sometimes you go, "Do you want a brew?" And you're like, "Yeah, I know drinking this is going to make me need a piss in about 20 minutes when I'm going to be in a 40-minute journey." It is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I get that, and there's a few strings to this. So first of all, tea and coffee is a diuretic, so it means that it's gonna pull water out of your body and extract it, so you piss it out. So you think because you're drinking liquid,
that's what I've been doing wrong all along.
100%. You have a piss and a coffee, you go in toilet way quicker than if you just have did I piss in a coffee?
Yeah.
If you have a water and a coffee, you're gonna piss way quicker because that's gonna draw it out of you. Yeah. Then we'll go into a caffeine as a separate subject, but right, quite simply, if you was to delete every single thing that we've said on this and only post one thing, it would be this: drink more water. Your body is 70% water.
What about putting cordial in water?
Yeah, absolutely fine. If the difference between you is not drinking enough water because you don't like water, or adding a little bit of juice, add some juice. That's an adult decision. That's like really basic. Do you know what I mean? These, it's like a product placement, isn't it? I don't get commission. Air up, so there's no juice in it. This makes it taste like juice because taste is 80% smell. I personally think it's incredible, and I was so skeptical when someone gave it to me, and now I'm obsessed with it. Make bad habits harder, make good habits easier. Have water everywhere. So you think now you can go online, you can buy 2 or 3 1 litre bottles or 2 litre bottles of water, have one in your office, one in your car, one at home, and then just drink them. And yes, you'll piss more initially while your body responds. Your body has to respond, and it has to adapt, because basically what happens is your body is so fucking intelligent. What happens is, right, and this is why a lot of people look like they lose weight really, really fast, because the body will hold as much water as it can. Because, you run out of fuel in the car, the car dies. If you run out of water in your body can't die. So it does everything it can to stay hydrated. So it will hold water back.
If you're not drinking it.
If you're not drinking enough. Because it's like, if we run out of water, mate, you're in a bad situation. This is where sometimes you'll get like migraines and things like that. That's not a great place to be. So simply put, if you think about it, your bladder, you'll get used to it. The way you distribute water and how many times you piss will get easier. But then just be smart about it. So again, it sounds like you've got to get your diary out and plan every little bit of your life.
Well, like I say, it's just being aware of the impact of not drinking it. Even if people make small improvements here, it's just going to make a big difference, because even like your gut health, your digestion, your brain function, your sleep, you don't realize like being dehydrated. And again, I didn't realize I was dehydrated until I started drinking water more.
Yeah,
and
you don't know what it feels like.
You don't know what the other side feels like. It's like, and even productivity, because again, I'm responsible here for getting these guys performing at the best level that I can get them all performing at. And this is where, for me, if I have a good day in the office or at home, if I'm hydrated, I am so much better. And the days, and sometimes I even do it now, to be fair, I'll forget sometimes to drink, because I'll just get into tasks to the point where I just lose perspective on
Like
everything else.
consciousness,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just go into like this mode, and then I look at it and go, oh, I feel a bit groggy, and I've not drank, and it's just trying to avoid these things. And
But
you're
then-
never going to be perfect, are you?
But then at that point, right, overly hydrated. I've been on hikes for like 3-4 hours and only had a litre of water, which is not a lot for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anyone to do this, but I'll drink 6-7 litres a day.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 litres is something that people should be aiming for. Start at 2 and every week add 100 ml until you're at 3 litres. You'd be significantly better off health-wise if you were to drink 3 litres of water a day. And it's not hard. It's 6 500 ml bottles a day.
Yeah.
Or 2 1 litre
you
ones.
can easily do that.
Easily. And then if you know that, right, I've got a 2-hour journey, don't drink like leading up to it. Have a half the amount. If I've got a 4-hour car journey, I know I'm going to have a stop. Sometimes you just got to hold it in, but just be smart about it. Like the difference now, how many times have I picked this up? I've been aware of it because you're scared of the noise of it. But if that wasn't here, we'd be 58 minutes into this now, and I wouldn't have had any water, and that would affect me.
Yeah.
Make this easy. So I just placed it there because I'm like, if it's there, I'll keep picking it up.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So that's it. If you've got it in your car, and right, I'm in my car now. I've got 45 minutes till I get home. If you can't hold it for 45 minutes, then
no. But what I used to put in the back of the car was, the things you get in hospitals, them piss bottles. I used to have it in the back of my car.
I've done some dodgy shit.
And they're pissing it a few times.
I dropped the seat the other day in my car. You can drop the front of it, and I was like thinking, I can't do this. You do some mad shit. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. You're tradesman, piss on the side of the road.
I know, innit? Yeah, open the back doors and just flop it out.
Whatever you got to do, but honestly, it's so simple. Drink more at night. And also, myth, you don't wake up to piss. You piss because you woke up. Because that's the first thing that people say to me all the time. I wake up all the time for a week. No, you've got shit quality sleep, which we're going to improve by all the things that we've already discussed and we'll discuss going forward. So what happens is when you wake up, you're like, I need a wee. So you go for a wee. Your body doesn't, you will have drank a lot of fluid. You drink a lot of alcohol and sleep through, don't you? Your body, if you're in a deep sleep, won't go, oh, by the way, we need a piss. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't use that as kind of as an excuse not to. However, if you're worried about that, just taper it off towards the end of the day. So I don't drink as much. I drink more between 4 and 10, 4 and 11.
Yeah.
And then I'll taper it off more, and then I'd probably have maybe 500 ml before bed.
Well, I just think one of my bad habits at the moment is sometimes I neglect the hydration in the middle of the day when I'm probably distracted.
Yeah.
And then at night time when I get in, I'll drink about 3 litres and then wonder why I can't, settle.
If you drink too much, obsessively in the night, then
again, I'm not perfect with any of this by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't want people thinking that I'm on the ivory tower going, right, everyone do this.
And by the way, neither am I.
Yeah.
At all.
It's a balance.
It is, and I still love that. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I'm like, I do drink and I do have this and I do eat that. People say to me, can you eat that? I'm like, yeah, I'm in shape. I can eat what I want.
Yeah. No, it's true, isn't it?
It's fucking true. You can do more because you're taking care of 80% of the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that odd burger's not going to kill you off.
It feels mint that you can have it. But when you restrict, I promise you, if you try remove that 20%, you're miserable, and it's a matter of time before you crumble.
Yeah, I was obviously because I've been trying to drink less, and a few weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I was like, I hadn't drank for ages, weeks, and then I was with someone who were like, "Oh, do you want a glass of wine?" I was like, well, not really, but I had one. I ended up drinking 2 bottles.
Fuck's sake.
I had the best night of my life, and it was brilliant. But
it mattered.
Because I woke up the next day. I was a bit rough, but I thought I really enjoyed that last night. And I never used to wake up after alcohol and go, I really enjoyed that. I used to wake up thinking,
that's
oh my
the
God,
difference.
I'll fucking kill myself.
That's what I always say, right? Always think of it this way, right? If you're going to have something that's, say, not necessarily healthy, think about it as you've been really good with your healthy lifestyle, right? That's like saving money. And then having a drink or having a burger or going doing this, that, and the other is like spending that money. Are you happy to just keep dipping in and out of your savings for mundane shit you're not going to remember or have created any memories?
No, it's very true.
Think about it as an expense. So I think, right, I'm going to go out and get steaming. Let's say I've saved 100 quid this week. Am I happy to spend that 50, 60 quid? Yeah, 50, 60% of my progress to keep the metaphor going. Yeah. Because it's Christmas, I've not had a night out in X amount of time, I've nailed things, and I've still got all of the savings from the previous weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the key. Whereas what most people do is they save a bit, spend it all.
Yeah.
Save a bit, spend it all.
You just do enjoy it, like that burger or that bottle of wine.
Nicer.
You just like enjoy it because you've not had it for a while.
Delayed gratification, and that's what we're in a society now. We spoke about it a little bit.
Immediately.
Everything is gratification there and then. Like it's Tuesday, order a Domino's. Like like I made a sale today. I'm gonna drink a bottle of wine. Like, no, mate, it's Wednesday night. You don't need to do that. Just go out and take your miss out on a Friday.
Yeah, no.
And then it means something, and then you're like, yeah.
So on alcohol then, because we've brought it up a few times, how bad is it?
Right. I mean, it's. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get a bottle of wine after this. So alcohol is not bad, right? Sorry, that's a lie. Alcohol is bad, but I get why people do it. It's enjoyable. It's social. Yeah. It's about doing it in the right time.
Huge pressures as well to drink.
Let's get boring and scientific, right? Dead simple. Alcohol is a toxin. Your body does not want a toxin. So we'll stop doing what it needs to do to prioritize getting rid of it. Yeah. So they reckon that it takes an hour to burn off 1 unit of alcohol. Yeah. A pint has 3 units of alcohol. A glass of wine has 2, and say a single spirit has 1. So let's say, for example, you go out and you drink, I don't know, 16 units. Pretty easily done, right?
Yeah.
You've got then 16 hours worth of your body stopping everything. So sleep goes to shit. The quality of it goes, even if you get people that like I fall asleep straight away. It's about the quality of it. It's broken. You feel knackered. Your body's going to prioritize it. Then it's also going to be dehydrated because you've had all of this. So as a result, then your body's got to catch up. It's got to get rid of the alcohol. Excuse me. And then what it's got to do from there is catch up on all the sleep. So you've got like another, say, day of a light.
Because your sleep is bad on alcohol, isn't it?
100%, yeah. But your body won't catch up on sleep till it's got rid of the problem, because it's this being in your system is not great. So then what happens then is, so you've got to say 16 to 20 hours worth of getting rid of the alcohol. You won't digest food as well. You would definitely won't want to train. You won't want to do anything productive. You'll crave salty foods because your body needs salt. Like I said before, your body knows what it needs, and a craving is not just something you've made. It's something that your body says, like, mate, I need salt. We're dehydrated to shit here. Yeah, salt and water. We get water from food, so it's like Chinese. Sweet. You fucking bury yourself in a Chinese.
Chicken.
You make poor decisions of food all day for it does actually for a day or two after, because then you're tired. When you're tired, you're emotional. When you're emotional, you make poor decisions. Yeah, and then obviously then your body's then got to catch up on sleep. So there'll be a lot of people will understand this. Like you can have a heavy session, and 4 days later you think, I'm gonna just feel normal. It's because your body's got to catch up on it. Yeah. But then what happens then is you get 3 days of normality, and then you go and do it again.
Yeah.
And again, and again.
Yeah. That's the bit.
That's the shit cycle. Yeah. Whereas if you just think to yourself, like, if all my clients, like when they go out on their Christmas dues, I'm like, I don't give a shit. You go and get trash, mate. You do what you need to do. They eat shit ton of protein in the morning. They save the calories. They hydrate like fuck, and then they go out and they do what they want. And then the goal then, every goal, whether it's a stag, a holiday, or whatever, the goal is always how fast can we get back to normal life, not how much can you restrict yourself when you go out. Because if you restrict yourself, you just make bad decisions. One turns into literally 50.
Yeah, it's
But alcohol is bad because it affects all of those things. So you just got to think about its battles. Like, is this a battle worth fighting, or is it probably just better? I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm just going to chill. No. I'm not going to get a pack of 4 because United are playing and it's the most boring football on the planet.
Yeah, there is that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it is like it is about choices in it, and it is a tough one, alcohol, because I enjoy sometimes on a Friday afternoon, and this wasn't long ago, I'd enjoy sitting in the pub on my own with my laptop for a few hours, having a bit of space, a couple of pints, and go home. And it didn't feel like a big bad thing to do. It didn't feel like it, but really it is, because that's a bit of time then that I'm taking away from focus, taking away from just everything that I'm striving to achieve. I'm putting that little thing in front of it and stopping it from happening, because that little bit of focus that I'm losing, that little bit of pointless time wasted in the gym, because I'm then just done that straight after it. Do you get what I mean? So I think that now that I go, fuck it, I'm just going to crack on with the day, go home, do what I need to do. And that was tough to get out of that habit, I must admit. Like, it was like, go home and be like, hey, everyone. I want to be in the pub. And it's like, but when I've got past that after the first few weeks, I've gone, right, then I've had a drink and I've gone, I actually really enjoyed that a lot more. You know, so it is bad, but it's good if it's used at the right time, in the right way, and for the right reasons.
Ask yourself the question, I'm going to have a pint now, is it worth it?
No.
And if it is, have it. And if it turns into 4 or 5, 2 bottles of wine, like, so what? Have it. Do what, but don't do things. And I never asked you to do that. Yeah, obviously I've coached you on your journey. I've never asked you to do that. You made a choice because you know what it's like when you operate without it and doing all the things that we've taught you versus when you have it. Yeah. And then you've made a choice and gone, hang on a minute, I want to help hundreds and thousands of whatever people grow their business, and this isn't in line with my values. And then you make that choice. Choice is always better, because if you get choice taken away, you want it more. Yeah. Whereas when it comes from you and it's a decision that you've made, it's easy, rather than me being like, what you do, mate? Why are you in the pub? Get out, don't have a drink, have a coffee.
No, like, it's 100%. And it wasn't a health decision. You know, it was a health decision, productivity decision, but it's a productivity decision as well. And this is obviously, you know, it's about health, but it's also about driving productivity and tuning people into being able to run businesses. So when you're on top of your business and you're nailing it and you go, right, I've done for the week, like, I'm happy, I can now afford to go and have that drink if I want to. Yeah. But what you find is, like what we said before, is you end up getting to the point where you can do it and you go, fuck it, I'm not going to, because I'm feeling this momentum. I don't want to.
Why is that?
I don't want to stop it.
I think it's the dopamine. You get dopamine.
Well, yeah, it's where you get your dopamine from.
100%. Yeah. So when you've had a shitty week because you've misfueled yourself, you've not trained, you've not really slept, you've had alcohol.
Yeah. What's going to make you feel good?
What? Yeah, like everybody needs something on a weekend. The weekend is restorative, right? If you don't have a restorative weekend, your week ahead is shit. And a lot of time people think, what do you have an association at the end of the week to the start of the weekend? Alcohol. Yeah. We're British, we're proud of it.
Or just eating shit, a Friday night takeaway.
Exactly.
You know, Deliveroo, Just Eat. Everyone's in that routine of, right, life is shit Monday to Friday, so at weekend we have to do things that make us feel better. We need to get our dopamine from somewhere, so it ends up being these bad habits. But it's a fucking vicious cycle, that, because you never get out of that shit week.
Yeah, you don't.
Because of these habits at weekend that you're supposed to be doing to make you feel better. So therefore, actually, we just move that. And the period of time where there aren't rewards, that takes the discipline bit to get through the first few times of going home and going, I hate my family because I've been in the pub. You get what I mean? So it's like...
You paint such a bad picture.
No, I'm only kidding, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like sure. You're thinking in your head, normally, you're breaking routine, you're breaking bad habits, and it's like the first few times you do it, it is very tough. But when you get through that and you go, I'm not going back there now. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going back there.
Because you just think, like, you know, if I said to someone, right, you're going to go and have 4 pints now, I'm going to trade you that, I'm going to take that away and I give you another client. I'm going to give you another sale, you'd be like, okay, I'll take the sale. But then what you don't realise is by not doing them things, your energy and productivity levels are so high, you graft so much harder, business grows. You're like, instead of going, oh my God, I've done fuck all this week, and I've just barely scraped through, I need something to make me feel better, you're like, I've smashed this, I've smashed that. You know, I love reflecting at the end of the week, thinking what I've actually done with my week.
Because I think people look at me sometimes, well, on this network, they think I'm just there to punish everyone. Because I'm a bit like, well, it's...
You are the extreme of that end. Like, you know, a lot of people might like going out and having a couple of pints at the end of the week. There's nothing wrong with that. No. Just make sure that doesn't go into 5 or 6 and then the next day and you get all the negative associations of what what alcohol can do to you.
But I'm in that mindset most of the time, where and I get that you've pointed out to me a few times that I don't come out of it often enough. But the thing is with me, it's like I am that, you know, I like to optimize, I like to do things properly, and I think like the guys sometimes go, like, so because everyone has challenges and it is very difficult what they're doing, and there are some really struggles out there, basically. Do you get what I mean? And people, oh well, I need something, and I'm like, yeah, but you've got to battle through that shit. You've got to get through the wanting to do the negative things. You've got to stop doing that shit that makes the future harder. And you know, it is that dopamine hit that you get from like the beer. Like, yeah, all right, we're gonna have to accept here that dopamine ain't coming for the next few weeks, and then the next hit of dopamine is going to come from making that sale, or it's going to come from checking your bank and seeing that you've got a few grand in more than what you had a few weeks ago. you get what I mean?
Even sooner than that, though,
that.
you just think, you know what, I feel a bit more energized.
Yeah.
It takes a week.
Again,
It literally takes a week.
Even having a shit, and you can do it in 2 wipes. Get your dopamine from that.
It is true, though. You start to feel different. Once you start feeling different, I always say to people, like, become obsessed with the feeling, chase the feeling. If you chase the feeling, the result will come.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't chase money. You chase, like, providing a better service, automating things, doing things less. Like, you know, when you sign your first client up and they went into an automated system, you did fuck all for it. You're like, okay, I like this a lot. Do you know what I mean?
I used to get, and I think a lot of the guys are the same. I used to get a lot of dopamine from learning stuff. So, like, I used to be like, right, how can I learn? Like, just little things like, how can I systemize something in my business? You know, and I'd spend hours and hours and hours doing that. That's why I used to like work till after o'clock.
We're obsessed with growth, right?
You know, and we want to do those things, and there was dopamine there for me, you know, and that's the thing. I wasn't getting my dopamine from food. I was just being shit with my time. Do you get what I mean? But there is also that association with dopamine and all the rest of it. But anyway, I think that's a conversation for another day, that, innit? Because
I mean,
that's another like rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
So in terms of alcohol, we've said, you know, I think just be sensible. Yeah, just be sensible with it.
I always say my favourite saying is don't be a dick.
Yeah, true. So alcohol, what impact does sleep have on us overall? Obviously, we've spoke about this a lot. We've got the whoops and stuff like that, which take our sleep. We'll come on to those in a moment. But just as a whole, holistic, sleep's like, you can't live without sleep, can you? Like, water and food you can sort of do without for a bit, but sleep fucks you, doesn't it, if you don't?
I mean, massively, yeah. What I always say to people is sleep is like allowing your engines to cool and allowing your body to kind of just restore itself and fill your cup back up, kind of thing. So, you know what? Would you leave your car on all day when you're at work? Would you leave your car on overnight? Probably not, because the chances of it burning out and, you know, things breaking would come 10 times faster.
Yeah.
And this is how it is when you're not sleeping. Again, caffeine and things like that, we can get away with it. But you can't, because there's only a matter of time before your body crumbles. This is where mental health is impacted. This is where you make poor decisions. This is where you're impervious to stress. You know, there's a lot of issues that come with it. So you need to make sure that you prioritize it so that you can function at a much higher level. It is fundamentally, it's like, I'd say it's sleep, water. Those are the top things. You have a good night's sleep, you can handle anything. Yeah,
I mean, you know, I don't think we need to elaborate loads on sleep, because we all sort of appreciate that, you know, you can't do without it. But just another thing, going back to my own experience, was my level of tiredness, and I can operate when I am really tired, you know, even though I'm getting worse as I get older at that, because I'm finding that actually I get ratty. If I'm tired, I'm horrific sometimes. Like, I'm just the worst person on the planet. So that's why I recognise that, you know, like I said to you, like, we have events and stuff on some Fridays. I don't want to train because I recognise that if I get tired throughout the day, I start getting ratty and I start losing focus, because even if I've slept well, I've burnt my energy levels too soon. So sleep holistically, very, very important. But obviously, leading into sleep, caffeine, again, I've mentioned before, some of us are having brews at customers' houses at like 3, 4, 5 o'clock, you know, and then thinking that there's no impact on our sleep.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people, like, literally 2, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So what time really should we be stopping our caffeine consumption?
I mean, to optimize sleep, you need to have like a regular bedtime. So let's say it's between 10 and 11 and 12, whatever it might be, so you can get 6, 7 hours. You want to not have caffeine in your system 8 hours. So if I go to bed at 10, I want to make sure that I don't consume caffeine beyond 2 p.m.
Now, I found, for me personally, and everyone might be a bit different, I find that a bit late. When I cut off caffeine, what I've learned with my body, because I'm trying to get to sleep earlier, so I do try to get in bed about 9:30, 10. I fail miserably quite often at it, but I am trying to get it better, because I recognise that is so important for me. Because if I wake up in a bad mood, then the world sort of comes down with me. It's one of them.
Your problem is, you, obviously knowing you so well, is you try to go to bed after doing 2-hour calls where your brain's like firing, and it's like what I said, like, you know, keep your car engine on and go outside and touch the the engine, you're gonna get burned. So your brain, from the second you're awake to the second you go to sleep, does not stop firing. Especially then, you know, you sit in front of screens, you talk to people, you've got stress on, you do calls late night, so you're virtually like trying to get in bed. It's like having a double espresso.
I do find that. Like, I do find that.
It's not necessarily the caffeine. So 8 hours is a really good
winding down as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you need to make sure that you have something that you do. You know, people say don't watch TV before bed. Like, I watch TV, turn it off, and then I'm asleep within 30 seconds. On my Whoop, actually, it says my average fall asleep time is below 2 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I fall asleep that quick.
I can't do that.
Because I don't get into bed after doing a coaching call. When I used to do jiu-jitsu 7 till 9, I'd get in bed and I'd be like, wow. Well, I'd be like 4 a.m, being, my alarm's going to go off in half an hour. What the fuck am I going to do? Because my brain is wired. You know what I mean? I've just been being pulled all over the place.
Yeah, it's hard one, that, because because obviously
boundaries.
Nighttime is a quiet time for me, so I do like to putter about at night. You know, so that's again. Well, this is optimizing your habits for the level you need to operate at. I'm trying to cram in. You know, the guys don't need to worry about the level of workload I've got, because, you know, they're not there yet, but you know, they will get there, most of them, and I think that, you know, these little optimization tips, because they're not gonna. And again, you know, I'm years into this. I'm over a decade into running my own business, like 12, 13 years now, and I'm still not there in terms of like the habits I really need, because it fucking changes as
everything
well.
evolves, doesn't it?
Like you get it right for 6 months, and then it's like, right, now that's gone to rat shit. You know, because now this has changed, and like we have conversations, open conversations of like the times we can train, and I'm always talking. How many times have you heard me go about I'm optimizing my diary and my routine again? You know, you get fucking fed up again.
But the thing is, right? Don't look at this situation if you're watching thinking, oh, I need to be 100% on sleep, I need to be 100% on food, I need to be 100%. You don't.
Yeah, you can't.
You need to make improvements. If you're at 10%, being at 50%, you're operating 40% higher, and that's all this is about. You would look at my life and be like, well, you're not fucking perfect, and I never claim to be, nor are you.
No.
And when I do get it right, you know, my fucking whooped out.
We just want to get. We just want to get 80. We just want to get 80-20, don't we?
100%.
You're not looking for perfection.
You just live a healthier lifestyle. Like, in terms of sleep, they reckon they can predict when you're going to die based on how quality sleep isn't it? Because you're ruining yourself. Yeah. You know, we've all seen an overtired baby.
Yeah,
it's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, literally the worst thing in the world. The difference is adults just do it in different ways.
Yeah, punch each other.
Yeah, but I guarantee if you have a 12-hour, that's stupid. If you have an 8-9 hour sleep, and then someone brings a massive problem to you, you're like, right, what are we going to do here? Whereas if you're running on 4 hours and you think, wow.
It's like sometimes when you're really tired and then like someone gets in your grill and goes, oh yeah, about this, and you're like, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? I'm not in the mood. Like, this is not the time. Like, I'm, you know, as straight as I need to be sometimes. I'll say, not now.
Yeah.
Like, don't even go there, because I'm literally not in the mindset.
I'll ring you over that.
Yeah. Fuck off. Right. So all the things we've mentioned so far, how do we track them, and how do we make sure that, you know, our training, you know, because all these things we're talking about are numbers based, and I have a massive, I have, well, it's not even a belief, it's a fact, and I can prove this time after time after time, that if you can't explain something in numbers, you don't understand it. Everything goes back to maths, always. Business, health, everything. Do you get what I mean? And when you understand the numbers behind things, it's easier to master, because it's a numbers game. Everything's a numbers game. Now, we can't obviously sit there with pens and pads all the time, so we do need to lean on technology a bit here, don't we?
Yeah.
So what do we need to do to track what all these things?
I'm really torn with this, I'm going to be honest with you, because it depends on where you're at. Like, you have to get to a certain level before you need to start thinking deep. Right, because like we just said, say for example you get a whoop, and your whoop's going to be on its ass if you're not, you know, facilitating the right daily lifestyle.
It can be counterproductive.
Yeah, so don't right, don't overthink this. And this is where people get it wrong. It's like, right, I'm going to go into this now. So how do I make sure everything is?
Or
is
you could get a pen and pad and do it that way if you want to.
Or you could just think to yourself, right, what on a basic level, what have we said here today? Drink more water, plan your food, whatever food you eat healthy. If you're going to eat shit food, keep it to less than 20%. Yeah. What was the other ones? Don't abuse alcohol.
Yeah.
Sleep better. You can. You're a grown ass person. Do you know what I mean? You can track that for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't need to be kind of like rude when I say that, but it is one of them things where you'll know that you're hitting it right because you'll have more energy and you'll be like, it's 10:30 and I'm tired now. You're supposed to be tired at night.
Yeah.
You wake up and you think, you know what? It took me 10 minutes and I've got going and I'm sweet.
That's something that I struggled with, and I still struggle with it now sometimes. When I'm getting tired, I'm like, I'm weak. Do you get what I mean? I'm a weak person. Why am I getting tired? I need to crack on. Honestly, it's horrific. Like,
yeah, because
honestly, that's just my brain playing tricks on me. Like, when you're pussy, what are you going to sleep?
Think about it, like, from the most basic point of view. Why does the sun rise? So that we know when to wake up.
Yeah.
Why does the sun set? Because we know when to get tired.
Yeah.
Our bodies are supposed to be in tune with, like, the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So, if you're getting tired at night, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And this is where you fuck me right off, though, because you're like, oh, there's another task, and I'm like, well, if by not doing that task your business is going to implode, you really need to think where your business is at. And you're a workaholic. This is why I said before, you're the extreme level, because you're that guy where you're like, if you can do 101 tasks in a week instead of 100, you will. You didn't necessarily need to do that. The future of your children and your mortgage and things like that is not dependent on that task.
No.
You get a lot of dopamine from that. That's kind of like your thing. You're the inspiration to all these people that are watching. And so.
And you.
Well, yeah. All right. Inspiration of how not to live my life.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you have inspired me for sure, but I want you off after this. But yeah, so I forgot even where we
were talking about.
About getting tired. Yeah, no, it's normal.
Well, I was saying, like, when I get tired, like, I'm like,
yeah, no,
I don't want to get tired. What is this? Yeah.
Then you get a good sleep and you wake up feeling better the next day.
And it is something that I've got, like some days I'm really good at it. Some days, again, with everything, you can never be perfect. But I've started getting good at sometimes. When I know I'm on top of my tasks and I know I'm on top of work, which is like getting up early and all the other habits, start to form a good environment for you. This is about creating a holistic environment that all these things together give you that will to operate in. So there's some nights, like, quite frequently now, where I'm just like, right, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, you should.
I'm just like, I'm going to wake up. Like, even last Saturday, I was in bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then Saturday morning, I was in the woods at like 9 o'clock in the morning with my lad doing biking. Because it's like, well,
how much better is that though?
Yeah, sun's better.
And, like, I had 4 beers and now I don't want to do anything all day.
Yeah, it's just so much better. But I'm getting better at that, and I'm starting to optimize for the morning freshness instead of working till the night and recognizing that in the morning I need to.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the time that is as well. Like, one of the things I recommend to my clients all the time is look at your to-do list before as one of the last tasks you do. See what you've ticked off, and then plan your to-do list for the next day, because then you don't have to go bed and think, oh my God, I fucking didn't do that. Oh my God, I've not done enough today. Because, I can only speak for men on this point of view, but nothing is ever enough for us. We do something and we forget about it. We don't think I've done 6 tasks. We think, oh, fuck me, I've still got that to do. So if I look at my to-do list, I think, right, because I'm self-critical and I'm like, I've not done anywhere near enough. I've wasted the day. And then I look at my to-do list and I think, do you know what, actually, you're right, you lazy cunt. No, I'm joking.
True.
No, but you look at your to-do list and you think, yeah, I've ticked that off, that off, that off, that off. Right, I still need to do this, but then I'm gonna put it here tomorrow. Prioritize what's going to be there, and you go, right, I can go to bed now and switch off, knowing that today's taken care of and tomorrow is a brighter day.
But it's a big point, that, actually, because there's that saying that today's not over till tomorrow's planned, and I think that, like, if you do that bit of planning and you sort of put it away in your head, it's like, it does help you sleep a lot more,
because you're allowing your engine to then cool off and be like, right, now I can separate work from this next period of relaxation.
And something, and the other thing around this as well, which I think everyone should be aware of, is like, I'm in a period of my life now where my missus has been with me for like 18 years, and she's had like a lot of time on her own, because I've been the way I've been. So I'm becoming conscious now that I need to give her some time back. So part of my optimization of all this is partly driven by the fact that I've got kids, I've got a missus, and I have to start thinking I can't be in the business 24/7. So when I'm in it, I've got to be in it and done and dusted. And if I'm not absolutely tuned in and optimized, I'm not going to get that done. I'm going to still sacrifice for another 10 years. And by then, my kids will be in their 20s. My missus will be with someone else. You know what I mean? So it's like,
it's so true.
You've got to be like,
we spoke about health imploding, and when you get to that point of success, but like, relationships need love. Relationships need nurturing.
Yeah.
It's the same with your kids. Like, my heart bleeds to people that have got to go out there and they're stuck in the race of grafting, 6 till 7, and the kids, they don't get to see them. Like,
and I've been there.
Yeah, 100%, right? But you have to understand that those things need to be prioritized in the diary as well.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, because when you get to the point of whatever your perceived success is, right, I can get a holiday home, or I can buy this and I can do that, you need to then be able to enjoy it. What's the point of going on 3 holidays a year with your kids and none of you speak because your family's dysfunctional, because you've not nurtured those relationships, because you've sacrificed it, not because you had to, because you was ill-planned.
We fill our time with shit, don't we? And I think like when you're in the bad habits, you're in a bad routine, your productivity is not as good as it should be.
So you got to overcompensate and work more and more and more.
The other thing, but we haven't even touched on, and we won't because we'll go on for hours, but bad habits, too much Netflix, social media, shit like that, really toxic habits on top of, we're talking about health at the moment, but I'm a big, these time thieving habits. So when you get optimized, so the more optimized you get, the less, like, I touch social media for my business, and that is it. I'm minutes a week I will spend doing any social media outside of, whereas some people are fucking 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and it's like, hang on a minute, you've got kids and you got all this stuff. You spend time on Netflix, but you say you haven't got time to do these other things in your business. So all these habits do matter, and I think if you start with the health ones, like what we're saying here, and just move on from there, you'll start thinking, fuck watching Netflix. Fuck watching social media. You don't need to do it.
But that goes back to what we said before. Because you're functioning so poorly, you're overworked. What you're doing in a day is just surviving.
You just snowball.
You're just trying to. What do people go on social media for? A break.
Dopamine.
Get me away from the reality of my life, because I'm stressed as fuck. This guy's doing me head in. I don't even want to go home to her because she's annoying me. And you think, oh, Dave's just been to the pub. I wish I was in. Do you know what I mean? It's how it works, and it's. Yeah. But I understand it. It's made to be addictive. That's how it was designed.
But it's not an environment for success.
You know what we said before?
What this is about.
You set yourself up for failure. Eat better, train harder, be more productive, sell more shit, grow your business, go home, enjoy time with your kids. You don't have time for social media. And when you do, it's like 15 minutes because you're having a shit. A really healthy one.
Yeah. So tracking, we said about doing the basics with just being pen and paper, really. But obviously then we've got Whoops and all that type of stuff.
Diaries.
MyFitnessPal for tracking food, calories.
Yeah, MyFitnessPal, Whoops are really good, as long as you don't get obsessed with it.
So a Whoop is basically a wristband that goes on like that. You'll see it online. Tracks your recovery, sleep. And recovery is a weird one because I never correlated the the training hard and recovery bit, I was like, well, why is my recovery not going up? But then you have to push your body to let it recover, That's something I literally only got in my head, literally in the last month.
Yeah. I do think that's a very deep thing. We can maybe cover that
I think that's for another day.
In a different time. But these are all things that,
It's getting more optimal, isn't it? And again, and I think that this is what we're saying, we just want to turn a little spotlight here on. There's more work coming your way. There's more stress coming your way. There's more things coming your way down the line that you won't be aware of yet. But if you just start paying a little attention to a few of these bits now, you're going to thank us later.
You'll be way more equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
Without doubt. And I know that because I've seen many, many clients handle the growth of multiple business from 7 figures to 8 figures to, like I said before, worldwide. Mm-hmm. And they deal with shit and they have an incredible balance. And, every one of them sat there and said to me, my energy levels are fine. And then within 7 to 10 days, mate, I get a text message saying, I don't know what you've done to me here, but honestly, I feel invincible. And it can be that quick.
Yeah, your body's amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing. People think that what we're talking about is the top of Mount Everest, and they're at the bottom with shorts and t-shirt on, thinking, "How am I going to do this?"
Yeah.
When the reality of it is, 10 steps up, you've gained momentum. And you think, I can do this. I've just got to go 10 more, 10 more, 10 more, and you become obsessed with the fact that you think, I'm getting all of the things we spoke about now.
I'm really excited actually to see some of these guys, and I hope they take on board this message, because I think that this will be one of the keys. Because one of them said to me, I was in a meeting a few weeks ago, one of them said, "Oh, well, this academy, what happens after the academy?" I said, "You." And this is why I've obviously looked at this,
right.
Because it's like there's only so much you can do with like how-tos. Do you get what I mean? And
of course.
If you're actually not optimized yourself, then I can give you all the content in the world and all the tips and tricks and Facebook Lives and events and shit like that. But if you're not optimizing yourself to go away and do something with that because you're in bad habits and all the rest of it, it's fucking pointless. Do you get what I mean? So that's why we're going to start pushing this as time goes on. And obviously we'll have more conversations down the line. Right, so all those things we've talked about there, what's the cost later on in life if we ignore these things? Like, I know we've sort of covered it off already, but just to recap, if we don't drink enough water, we don't get enough sleep, we don't eat properly, we don't, do all the things that we've mentioned, we just don't pay much attention to it, and we think we can wing it forever. What's the cost?
I'd say short-term, energy levels, low-level functioning, low productivity levels. Medium-term, you'd be looking at mental health issues, anxieties. A lot of these are induced by, alcohol. You've got beer fear. You've got like anxiety that's associated with like vaping, smoking. So an abundance of a lack of control. You're not in control of your life, because what you're doing is you're giving into every single whim, and you're using things that are not designed for the human body to cope with it. So, tons of mental health problems. How far they spiral can be dependent on the person.
Yeah.
And what all of these things mean to me is that you're surviving, you're not thriving. And that's the difference between what I give to clients and what doing it themselves or going other places can be.
Yeah.
You can get in better health and better shape with and still be surviving.
Because do you think then that, and I have my opinion on this, and I don't know if you'll share it, but if, let's say, you get all these habits here, so these habits are quite typical of the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
Like, these aren't lies we've made up. This is systemic, well-documented issues in society that we do all these things arseways round.
Yeah.
And we're generally unhealthy. As a statistic,
as a world,
we're unhealthy.
Sure.
In the Western world, let's say. And when you accumulate these habits and all the things that are negative, and then when you look at the mental health and suicide rates amongst males of like an age group of 30 to 40 something, the suicide rate is absolutely through the roof.
Yeah, of course it
is. Is it a coincidence?
No.
Exactly.
Look at it this way, right? Your energy's on its arse. You're barely functioning in your business. Hopefully watching this you're not, but you probably have been. You're surviving.
I'm sat here. I have been that guy.
Yeah, and then to deal with it, you drink and smoke and eat shit. And then when you go on social media for a break, you see guys in unbelievable cars, unbelievable houses,
negative shit,
sexy as shit, like with washboard abs. And no matter what happens, whatever you've achieved can be nullified within seconds. So now you're in this world of like, you're trying to get validation from other people. So you're out of control. In what element of your life are you in control?
Yeah, well, none. Because none.
And this is why, like, of all the clients that I have that have 7-8 figure businesses, I would not trade my position, because I see what that has been like for them. And this is not everyone, by the way. Like, there are some people that have it all, and everybody can have it all. And whether that's a 5, 6, 7 figure salary, that the money is irrelevant to me. It's how you think up here. If I wouldn't trade any amount of money in the world for my inner peace and for a strong headset. Do you know what I mean? Headspace, should I say? So, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely the most important thing, that you're always staying in a good headspace.
And I think all those things, like, caffeine can induce, too much of it can induce anxiety. No sleep can make you really fucking grouchy and moody, and get you into negative situations quite easy just by not sleeping enough, eating the wrong food. So all these things do accumulate alcohol, or just all of them, all of them together in a ball, and you go, right, so this is what lads and men are doing generally as a high statistic. If you got all those different groups of things, go, right, statistically, most of the lads are going to be indulging in those things. Like they're going to be part of their life.
And if you're not, people are like, you don't.
Yeah,
what do you mean you don't really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying everyone's like doing it, but you know, there will be bits of people, and even if it's just one of those things,
most people are doing a multitude of these. By the way,
one of those things.
Most people are doing a lot of them, and the problem is as well what we spoke about before, and we could tangent on this, but it's designed that way because the more you're on social media, that's why they developed infinite scroll, so that you don't get a break. It doesn't stop you. You go, fucking hell. Do you remember that when you used to like you'd hit the bottom and it'd load and you think, oh, can I have been on that for 9 hours? Do you know what I mean? I spent 200 quid on ads that I didn't need to buy. It's better that way because the more addicted we are, the more lucrative it is. So you're fighting against these demons, and you need to make sure that you're kind of above it. Why do you think that people look at people in shape as if they're like fucking freaks?
Yeah,
because
it's like I say, it's them two worlds. It's like
it's something that you can't. It's the only thing you can't buy.
Yeah.
If you're rich, you can buy anything. You can't buy being in shape.
Yeah,
you can't buy your health back.
No, well, it's too late then, isn't it? Well,
so no wonder, so mental health and things like that, it is on the rise. And it just to finalise the question that you asked me, so the long-term effects of it are, disease has grown as a result of this because we're now getting lazier. People are addicted to Netflix because it's an escape. You're addicted to phone because it's an escape. You're inactive. You don't want to go to the gym. You're eating worse than ever. Everything is more accessible than ever. So what's happening now is the long-term effects of it is disease.
Yeah, and the modern man, I think, is under way more pressure than the man 20, 30 years ago.
Can we do a full podcast on this? Because I would gladly talk about this forever.
But
way more
I think that, like, in our network, we have people that are in their 40s and 50s, right, who have experienced life in their 20s and 30s in a different world to what we're in now. Yeah, so the lads that are coming through now that are in the mid-30s going into my age, mid to late 30s, going into early 40s, even late 20s, some of them, and starting to develop an adult, grown-up family life. Like, those guys are under, and us, are under fucking immense pressure from society to do a lot of shit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like the perfect storm. You've got all these society norms, all the stuff we've discussed today, and then the pressure from society is like, oh yeah, well, there's all the shit we expect you to do because everyone else does it, and you've got to deal with all this at the same time. It's like, fuck me. It's like the perfect storm of, and then you look at the mental health crisis and think, well, not fucking surprised.
100%.
Do you get what I mean? It's like, fucking hell.
Everything is getting harder and harder.
How much harder do you want to make it?
What you got to do is look at how everybody else does it and think, okay,
you do the opposite.
I'm going to do the opposite. Like, if that person does that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, I'm quite glad to say no.
That's my motivation.
I'm going to bed, I'm not drinking. Don't get me wrong, I'm not boring, but I'm going actually, just because, I've got to the point where I'm like, I will not take advice off someone. I will just switch off. If someone starts giving me advice, I'll just look at them, and if I know anything about them, if they're not better than me, I'll struggle to listen. I know that sounds really, really hanging, but it's just the way I've been wired now. Because when I listen to people and I say things, I'm like, no, don't get me wrong. If it's business and it's general stuff and it's opinions about things in the industry and all the rest of it, I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about just
I don't think you need to justify it.
Stuff. No.
Do you know why you justify it? This is what I'm passionate about, like the mindset and the motivation behind this shit. I want to be better than people. If you give in to every instant gratification that comes towards you, I am better than you because I can delay it. I can build a fucking business. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. Remember that. So if you give in to every temptation with KFC or smoking, vaping, drinking, whatever it is, every time it gets put on your plate, you're probably going to give in and stop working when something gets tough or when a client's being an arsehole. And when you don't do that, but then what we do then is
them in this industry.
Exactly. And this is why you need to be bulletproof. But then what happens is it's like, people like would think, oh, he thinks he's all that. Yeah, I am. Yeah. So fucking what?
Yeah, well,
and I'm not going to let the opinion of you drag me down to that level, because if you don't understand that mindset and how I'm thinking, if I say that out loud, you're like, no, I get it. Why should you let people that are beneath your level of thinking drag you down? If you think you're unbelievable, you should fucking own it. There's a difference between being arrogant and talking down to someone, be like, sorry, mate, you're below me. That's not what we mean. But what we do mean is it's like, well, I don't like the way you run your business. Well, okay, my landlord does. Do you know what I mean? Because I fucking pay him every week.
Yeah.
And you know, never be afraid of developing a mindset so strong people don't understand it. If people understand your mindset, look at the person that understands it.
No, it's true, and I think, like I say, people should be very selective where they take advice from and who they listen to. And I'm definitely in that camp now, where I have been for a long time, but it's just definitely like I can't listen to people where I look at the way they live their life and the habits they've got. I mean, don't get me wrong. I also do accept that not everybody needs to operate at my level. Yeah. And a pint on a Friday.
Wants to.
Yeah, but no, and I get that as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I sometimes scare people, I think, because they think, fuck me out. And I'm not down for that level of commitment. And that's fine. But we can, so most people probably, or some people probably still could afford to do the pint on a Friday night because they don't need to operate at the level. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, well, they're not going to wake up on Saturday and do work like you.
Exactly, yeah. But this is what I'm saying, but this is where people need to now pick and choose coming up to the end of this conversation, obviously, where they can obviously holistically look at this and go, right, what do I need to gain more? So this is like the final thought I would have on this. Is like, right, I need to gain an extra 4 or 5 hours a week to do these tasks. Yeah, so one thing in the academy, what we put out there is in the marketing module, there's a diary where I basically have broke it down into tasks daily, weekly, monthly, as you'd imagine. And then I've gone, right, ideally, you need to put 5 or 6 hours a week into this. Yeah? You need to put 5 or 6 hours a week into this. This will move your business forward. So one of the things I would always recommend people to do is come and listen to something like this to go, right, you've now got to pick. If you want to go to, a kitchen or KBB empire in your local area, you need to do all this shit. Do you get what I mean? You can't pick and choose here. You need to go all in on everything. If you want to just gain an extra 4, 5, 6 or 10 hours a week of productivity, optimization, then pick the bits that you know you're not doing, and experiment with these things and make sure that you're finding what works for you. Because this isn't like, right, everyone go and do this. It's very much like, this is how you would optimize at the top level. And I know, like you say, like, we don't want people to aim to go to the top immediately. But what I like to do is go, that's the very, very, very top.
Yeah.
Pick where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk this game. I don't want to talk that game. I want to talk that game. And then you pick the bit that you think you need to do.
Yeah, but then you map out the journey.
Yeah, right? And then you'll learn on your way. Because I've done it myself where I've gone, I only need to do that twice a week, 3 days. And then you get there and you go, oh, no, actually, I need to do it a bit more. Do you get what I mean? And I think that's the best way to go. So I think today's just been more about opening people's eyes to, if I want to be an absolute, because some of these guys, mate, they've got families, they've got businesses, they've got ambition. They want to smash it. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And this is just opening their eyes, I think, to, what it would take to get to that level. And I think it's been really useful for that. And like I said, these are the modern guys that have got all this shit to deal with. But really, how I've dealt with society and how I deal with that pressure is just remove half of it. Just don't fucking indulge in the social media. Don't indulge in the fucking alcohol. Yeah. Don't indulge in the shit. Just you know what's so easy? When you try and be involved in everything, that's when you fucking burn out. What you need to do is go, I'm not doing that, and that, and I'm going to replace it with this, and this. You know what I mean? And
well, I think a simple way to kind of like wrap it up is, if you're not moving towards a goal, you stood still. People don't do well when they stood still.
You're either going backwards and forwards.
When you set a goal, are your actions congruent to that goal? Because if they are, you won't need to worry about any of the other noise. You don't even have to try hard. Devil makes work for idle hands, like what we said. You don't have to fucking try hard, because you go, this is the goal, this is the path I've designed, I'm on this fucking path. Are you going to stop me on it? Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
And if you're not, you've got a seat at my table. And I think it's as simple as that. And just to kind of link it back to what we're doing now, you are in a 10 times better position when you look after your health. It's like going to a track day with a brand new car that's been serviced, MOT'd, oiled, tyres in there, versus having a clapped out banger that's running like a piece of shit and being like, which car do you want?
Yeah. I think, like, if we, like, on that note of, just bringing it all to a head, is when we get all these things right, we then just decide the bits that we think are best for us, and you'll learn naturally, won't you? But I think this has just been about opening the conversation and turning light bulbs on.
Yeah.
In terms of getting things out there to go, right, this is what it looks like. Right. So if obviously I'm happy for any of our guys to get in touch with you if they were like wanted to speak to you, or you do your online stuff, don't you? So you can coach anyone remotely. So if they said, right, like the sound of this guy, how do they get in touch with you?
www.sc-pt.co.uk is my website, and my Instagram handle is Steven.chidgey. And that's Chidgey. You can pop me a message, ask me questions, anything you want. I'm on there all the time, so I'm happy to help with anything that's more specific. But just to summarize what we said, we've given you a lot of the information as to kind of like why you should do these things, so you've got a bit of understanding as to why they're important and the implication it has. But simply put, plan bedtime, eat more healthily, drink more water, drink less, limit your caffeine to 1 or 2 times a day, and that will be a far cry from probably where you're currently at. And if you put those simple things in place, you'll start to look and feel better, have more energy, and be like, okay, what's the next step? And just let it spiral. Don't overthink the top bit. Get the basics, do them well, do them for long enough, get them ingrained as habits, and let it spiral.
Yeah,
that's all you've done.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think, like I say, we've highlighted a few other potential rabbit holes that will go down on other podcasts. So we'll
without a doubt. I look forward to doing so.
So we'll do that. And then if we get good feedback from people in terms of they want more from us, then maybe we can look at putting some products together for the guys that are specific to.
I've got loads of stuff at the minute that I'm working on, so it'll be exciting to do it and put it all in one place.
Right, smashing. Right, well, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you all soon.